conversations about business. And then more importantly, I want to have a conversation. I wanted to have a conversation with realtors about operating their business like a business, right? Putting systems in place so that they feel like they have control of their business. So often, this business, you can be a solo agent, but not necessarily be a one-man show, right? And so having a conversation about how to operate your business like a business, how to get some scale and structure, right, and some consistency in your business is one of my favorite topics to discuss. That's my jam, right? I know what it is to start from zero, right? When I started my companies, it started with just me, right? Luckily for most of my companies, I've always had an assistant, right? But it was still essentially me. It was essentially me and then an assistant very shortly thereafter. But the point is, I know what it is to scale a business from 0 to 7 figures, right? And in these businesses, we can do that. Real estate is a space where sky
You
is
say how many figures? I'm sorry, how many figures you said? How many?
7 figures.
You didn't say
figures.
6, you said 7.
Not 6, 7.
Oh, okay, I just want clarification. Let me pay attention.
Yes. And so it's exciting to be, in that place, as well as just, scaling to the next level. And so this is a conversation that I wanted to have. And then for you today, I wanted to have this conversation, bring you on today to have this conversation. For those of you who have not had an opportunity to meet Angelique Hibbert before, this is going to be a treat for you. I've worked with Angelique for a number of years now. And one of the things that stood out the most for me, outside of everything that she was doing in the real estate space, I was always impressed with her ability to manage working with buyers. And if you work with buyers, which I'm sure all of us do, you know how challenging that can be. A lot of the things seem to be, or they feel to be, out of your control, right? Whether the buyer's schedule, right? You're not the listing agent. And so we know that listings create leverage, but you can be successful representing buyers. And Angelique did that she does that. And she did that on a very high level. And so I would always say to her, you always come to the closing table. You're not disheveled. You're not frustrated. You're not mad with anyone. And you're consistently bringing buyers to the closing table along with sellers. Now, I think she'll go ahead and tell you she's killing the seller's market now, but was consistently bringing buyers to the table. And so I said, you know what, you need to have a conversation. You need to have a conversation about how you're able to do this. And so finally, she took the time to put a presentation together a little while back. And since then, she's been a hot commodity. She's been a very hot commodity about having this conversation. And so without further ado, I want to introduce to some and welcome to others, none other than the the Angelique Hibbert. Angelique, you want to say hi to the people?
Oh, hello everyone, and thank you all for being here. We know that our time will be spent valuable today, because I think information is the key. And I thank you for that wonderful introduction. By far, because I truly respect Ray Cole. I like to call her Attorney Jackson sometimes, because I think it's so important that we recognize the people that we are actually working with. High importance, a title company with an attorney makes a huge difference. And to believe it or not, she's really been like I call her my AP, She's my AP by far. And so I thank you so much. And just to carry on, to be honest with you, I'm going to tell you a quick little story and how I started to get into this. And I never forget this day. I was referred a customer and I assisted her, and she wanted to live in East Miramar in the Knolls, if some of you know the Knolls, which is west of University on Miramar Parkway, and a designated area, which was great. Well, I pulled 8 properties. This was probably about 9 years ago. I pulled 8 properties. We're going to see 8 properties. I'm very OCD. I've got everything lined up. I've got my water. Here's your pen. Here's your clipboard. And we're going to look at these properties. And I'm asking you to write notes on each property. And I show her the 8 properties. And when I get to the last property, it's vacant. And I put the properties, all of the MLS sheets on the table. I said, let's take away 5 of them. So she goes, no, not this one, not this one, not this one. So now we're down to 3. So I said, okay, let's put them in order of the ones that you really, really like. So she put them in the order of the ones she really, really like. I said, okay, take away 1 more that you just, so we can have 2. And now we're to 2. And I said to her, which one of these properties you really, really like? Now, before I did that, I called the lender and I said to the lender, I want you to give her what her monthly payment is going to be right now. So I put the lender on the phone. Mind you, I got the app on my phone, but I want to get everybody involved. And he gave her the payment and the amount. And she said, good. I said, okay. So we hung up with them and I said, okay, now which one would you choose? She says, I don't know. And I said, you don't know? I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, I think I'm going good here. And she decided not to make a decision. And I was like, whoa, mind you, we weren't in this market. This was like 9 years ago, okay? And so I said, okay. She said she wants to think about it. And so she went and she thought about it. And when she went home to think about it, guess what happened? Somebody else thought about it. And somebody else put an offer in it. And we didn't have a house. We had no house to look at, right? And she called and she said, oh my God, Angelique, I should have made a decision, da-da-da-da. So now I'm thinking to myself, I had to sit back. And I said, I showed 8 properties. I had it mapped out. I had my water together. I'm prepared. And she didn't choose a property. I was disappointed. So I said, no, I don't want to work with buyers anymore. I don't want to work with buyers. And so I end up taking the ABR course. And I start learning about buyers. And I said, you know what? I said, okay. And I learned about the buyer's agreement. And I started to study this stuff and learn it. Because I said, if I'm going to have the listing, I better still know some buyers. Because I don't want to put myself out the game and not have a listing. I might get the listing and the buyer. Whoa, I'm thinking I'm capitalizing. So I'm thinking. So I'm thinking this is going to work. So going back to the young lady, I did find her a house. We found her a very, very nice house, totally over improved. That house was $182,000 at the time. We got it for $172,000, and we even got some money to do some small repairs and things of that nature. And I built a relationship with her to the point where now that I only went back and sold her house that we bought 9 years ago, she bought another house. And to this day, she has referred me 9 people that I have completely closed up until 3 weeks ago.
There you go.
Yes, I was very, very excited about that. And I learned a lot. So what I learned is that, you know what? Going to some of these courses and getting your designations, one and first most, set me aside. I understood the buyer from a different perspective. I started understanding that I got to do a buyer's consultation. Wait a minute. I go to my doctor's office and I make an appointment. I don't just go to my doctor's office and I need to see my doctor right now. That's not how that works. So I said, okay, you know what, let me figure this thing. So I started to think about it and I said to myself, what is the first thing I need to know before I do a buyer's consult? I need to know where the money's coming from. I need to understand who has the money, who are you working with? And so what I understood about this whole entire buying process, it's about the camp of people that are around me. I need to know who's on my team. And team doesn't necessarily, I'm giving away some of my information for the 23rd, okay? I'll give it a little bit, just a little bit. And my team is not necessarily realtors. My team is a Ray Jackson, who's an attorney. My team are lenders. My team are inspectors. My team are surveyors. My team are appraisers. These people are my team. These are people that are going to help me through this process and make this happen. Insurance contacts, it's part of my team. So I built this team around myself for these buyers. And so with the buyers, I realized, okay, I don't need to put myself in a rush. I got to qualify the buyer and the buyer has to qualify me. And how do we do that? How do I know I want to work with this buyer? Because I start thinking about it. Well, wait a minute now. I need a commission check, right? I need to check, right? But I got standards. So our standards are in place. and I want to close the deal, but how do I do that effectively? I didn't like getting in my car and driving from house to house and have to fill up my car with gas and it's raining outside sometimes. And, sometimes the lockbox doesn't work. What are the things I need to do? So I said, you know what, let me put together a game plan. And I didn't put this together for any other realtor. I just put it together for myself. And I just stayed in the office late at night, sometimes 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. What is it that I need to know? And what is it that I need to do? And what I realized is that the first and foremost, I needed to find out where the money was coming from. And believe it or not, I would call and I would say somebody would call and refer me a buyer. Some people just get in the car with the buyers. Oh, they want to buy a house. They're so excited. No, I understood that I had to put some standards in place. I'm a professional. Kept saying that to I said, I'm a professional. I'm a real estate professional. Have I lost my mind? You know how
You used to do that? You used to jump up and get in the car, right?
well, I wasn't the jump up and get in the car person, but I reacted to the people. I allowed them to control my time. So like, for example, she would call and she would say, or a buyer would say, or he would say, I want to go and see this property like right now. Okay, let me see what I can do. I'm trying to figure out, let me call the listing realtor, let me look up the stuff. And one day I said, wait, what am I doing? Somebody is controlling my time. What if that time I was eating lunch? What if I had another buyer? What if I had a project and it was Project Wednesday for marketing? Wait a minute. What am I doing? I'm breaking up my whole schedule because they got to call. They say, oh, wait, stop. I got to stop. This is not going to work. So, I said, no. You know what I started saying to people? One moment, I would look at the time and I'd be like, the house vacant. And I do know that all we have to do is do a show request and then we can go to the house. Well, guess what? I can't go to the house at 3 o'clock, but I can go at 5:30. So I started saying to the people, I said, you know what? It's available at 5:30. It's available at 5:30.
Right.
Because 5:30 was my time.
Right.
And it's when I'm available, So I started to understand how to start respecting my own time because my time is very valuable. Then I thought and I said, well, wait a minute. They sent the pre-approval over. And you get this letter and it's real cool and it's okay, I got the letter. And it's like, okay, the letter's telling you that they can buy up to 400 or 350. And that's really all the letter is saying. One day I started looking at the letter and guess what I did? I just called the lender. No one told me to do this. I absolutely decided to just call the lender. I called the lender for one of the buyers and I said like, oh, I would say, I don't know who the lender is, David. My name's Angelique Hibbert and I'm a realtor with whatever brokerage I was at the time. And I am the realtor for Kathy Johnson. And sometimes the lender be like, Kathy Johnson, like, they didn't even know who Kathy Johnson was.
Wow.
So maybe I didn't call the right people.
Right lender.
Right lender. So I said, well, let me look and see. But guess what I realized? The lender forgot about Kathy Johnson. What is that telling me? Can anybody tell me what does that mean? If the lender forgot about Kathy Johnson, there is definitely a problem. And I promise you, I couldn't understand it. So I'm thinking, I say in the time working with my sister, I said, Claudia, how you call a lender and they don't remember the buyer? This is a problem. So I said, okay. What happened is that Kathy Johnson, he must have just put Kathy Johnson file on the side. A couple of things this could mean. One, he didn't remember nor collected documentation for Kathy. It could have been a verbal over the phone.
That's right.
Two, Kathy has a lot of realtors she's been working with, or she's been on the market for so long that the lender forgot about Kathy. So that means the lender is not following up with the buyer. That means there's no what? Forged relationship. The lender is not even calling to see how Kathy is doing. What is that an inclination to you?
He's too busy or not following up. Yeah.
Too busy and not following up. Maybe that's not the lender for Kathy. Okay? Because remember, I don't sell property. I don't have a bunch of property in the back of my backyard. I'm gonna pick one. No, I'm selling customer service. So if I'm selling customer service and forging relationships, I need to understand that I need to have a relationship with everybody in my camp. And that's how I start building my team. And so I would get 3 lenders, as you should do, according to your state law as a realtor, to refer 3 lenders. Anybody you have, you refer 3. Don't ever refer 1, and make sure that they actually, here are 3 people. I didn't say you couldn't pick up the phone and say, hey, you know, maybe in this order, but here are 3. At the end of the day, they will choose who they want to choose, okay?
Right.
And then so I started learning, and I started to understand that it's the relationship. So if this lender is not responsive to the buyer, how does a lender make money? A lender makes money
Makes
by
money.
closing a deal.
That's right.
That means you either have too much money or you're simply just not interested in the job that you have, your career that you've decided to have. Because I'm trying to understand why you don't know who Kathy Johnson is. I got a problem with that. So I might refer Kathy to 3 other people, right? And so if I am referring Kathy to 3 other people, they are in my camp. That means I have what? The relationship.
Yep.
Now I'm not going to have to worry because now I know the relationship is important. And so what I've done is that I have established a standard no matter what the market is calling. I don't care if everybody is losing their house. I don't care if the market has you got 30 offers on a property. My standard is going to stay the same. Okay. Now I will adjust according to the market. They have to add or tweak a few things, but I have a standard. So all of the lenders that I work with, I have a conversation. You gotta know who my buyer is. You gotta know about them. You have to know my appointments. David, we're going out on an appointment today. I am taking Kathy out today. I'm just letting you know. What does that mean for David? Randomly call Kathy and ask Kathy, how is her day going with her showings? Or
right. So happens he was just thinking about her that day.
Exactly. Or I let him know that we're finishing up at 5 o'clock. And then what is his job to do? Call Kathy to see how it went today. Right? Okay. So now we have that relationship. I don't have to tell the lender anymore to do that. They already know, hey, we're going out today, letting you know we're going out from this time to this time. You give a call, you drop the little app in so they can go ahead and price out themselves if they choose to on a property that they see. So we're giving a team effort here. We're letting them feel the importance of what we're doing. But now, before I take you out now, we've got to talk. We have to have a conversation. I need to know a little bit about you because now I've qualified, I've asked the questions, and all the questions that you need to ask a lender, I'm going to have in my class on April 23rd. I am telling you, this is going to make a difference in your business. With one lender I have closed, and I have proof because I have cards from Ray Cole, that every time I close the deal, I got a note card. And it got to a point when I tell her, don't even send me a gift card. I just want that note card because I want to know that I closed another deal with you. And that was important to me. So what I would do is really, I would tell, I would, with the lender, what I was explaining is that I will have these questions that you need to ask that is really going to make a difference on you taking your customer out and strategizing with your customer. It is so, so, so important, okay? If you don't ask these questions, if you don't have the answers to these questions that I'm going to be providing you, trust and believe you're most likely going to be wasting your time. And then what I do is that I go in and I have a, I'm good with the lender now. Now, here's a little key with the lender. I always send my lenders a note card to say thank you. Always. You know why? Because who else does that? Can anybody on here tell me who sent a lender a note card? I don't care if you even know the lender. I don't care if the lender is your friend. I don't care if you go out to dinner and you hang out at their house. Do you send your lender a note card? You know why I send a lender a note card?
Alicia, okay. We have some people sending note cards.
Yeah, she probably heard me in there. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Anne Marie sends note cards. Who else sends note cards?
Now, I want to know
note cards.
If you could take somebody off for a second and tell me why they send the note cards. That's the importance. Why you send the note card to the lender.
raise your hand if you send a note card to your lender and you want to chat about it. How'd you start doing that, and why you do that?
Yeah, I really want to know why they do it.
Okay, Alicia, allowed to talk. There you go.
I don't think we should let Alicia talk.
Okay, I'm not gonna talk. I'll let someone else talk.
No. Go right ahead. Go right ahead.
No,
Alicia is an awesome broker.
I chimed in a little late, but I think it's very important to build relationships and let them know that they appreciate it and that you took time out to take time out to show them that we're collaborating in the importance of it. So I send a note cards, just appreciation, and continue to build a relationship in that sense.
No, that's excellent.
It's very important because it's personalized.
Excellent. That's one thing. Anybody else? And that's a very good one thing.
I'm driving. Anybody else sends a note card? I think this is okay. Anne-Marie says she sends fruit baskets as well. She's really trying to get that lender to pay attention.
Right. Now, let me be clear. This is not sending a note card after closing. Okay. This is sending a note card after you've made the phone call, before the buyer's consultation. So let me tell you, the reason why I send a note card, and Alicia is exactly right. She's been a broker for, I don't know, almost 2 decades, and she's running an office. She's almost like a silent broker that's just doing things left and right. So, you know, she's not all out there, but honey, she's doing what she needs to do. So I can definitely appreciate that by far. She's one of the people I look up to as well. The reason why I send a note card is because, one, nobody really does it. Out of the 56,000 realtors we have at the Miami Association, I'm going to tell you probably not 0.0001% send out note cards to the lender initially. The reason why I do it is because it helps build customer service for me. It helps build my pipeline. You know, the lender might be in Starbucks and run into someone and he has on his name tag or her name tag or something, and they're getting a conversation, and then there's a buyer. And then they qualify the buyer, but the buyer doesn't have a what?
Realtor.
A realtor. So guess what? Who's gonna pop up in their mind? That person who sends that note card. Everybody doesn't do it. Everybody sends note card at closing. Everybody knows that it's important to do it at closing. But if I can appreciate you before you do something for me, then I'm being a go-giver, which is
huge.
Very, very
that's
important.
huge. That's huge.
I'm bonding with you before I get the result, because I know the result is coming, because I have standards and I am, Gigi, what am I? You can put it in the chat. I'm a professional. So I'm forging the relationship beforehand. So I don't know if this lender is going to refer me someone that's already approved. So that's what's the importance of sending it out ahead of time. So when I get off the phone and I write the little letter, I said, hey, David, thank you so much for talking to me today. I'm ready to get the show on the road. I'm going to take Kathy Johnson out. Boom, send a note card, send it out. Oh my God, I get a phone call. He sent me a note card. We didn't even close yet. That's awesome. You picked up the phone and called me, or you send me a text, or you take a picture of what I sent you, and we haven't even closed yet. So this is what I'm talking about, standards and setting the standard ahead of time. And so these are some of the things that I do ahead of time. And now you learn how to speak to the lenders as well. You don't call a lender and say, well, have you collected the documents yet? No. You know, I said, you know, there's so many lenders out here, and you know, they do these pre-approvals over the phone. And so you know how it is. I'm just making sure, because I want you to be a part of what's going on.
Oh my gosh, stay right there. Stay there for a minute. So I can tell you, Angelique, absolutely, as a closing attorney, I see the breakdown in communications. I see the lack of diligence. I'm gonna be very honest with you. I see the lack of diligence on behalf of some lenders for whatever reason. This is not a bash on lenders, but I see these different things. And I also see how building this relationship with the lender can put your file, right, at the forefront of their mind when they're pushing these files through. I've seen some very contentious relationships between realtors and lenders. So that's a very good point. That's a very good point to make.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you so much for that. So I really, really do that. I think it's very, very important. I think it's important for my pipeline. And I do it for several other reasons. And I'm giving you guys some information that I'm trying to hold off for next week, but I got to give a little bit to you. And, so one of the other reasons why I give the note card and I do that is really because I really want to, like Alicia Hayes said, you're forging that relationship and we're keeping them in the forefronts of their mind, of maybe their next customer who does not have a realtor. So it's very, very good to help me build my pipeline as well. Now, when I get the buyer in that consultation, okay, and I'm talking to the buyer and you've already talked to the lender, I like to throw in, a few things in there. I have the lender come in, I let them know, hey, listen, John, Kathy's coming in today. And I'm going to chime in. Now, let me tell you something that's also important. How many people go over the contract with the lender? Anybody? Anybody go over the contract with the lender? Any lender I work with, I show them where their responsibility comes in. Page 3, at the bottom, I think it's line 97, 98, 99. It says that you must communicate. It's telling us that you must communicate. Again, communicate. Lender, can you do these lines right here? Are you willing to send us information every 3 to 4 days to meet the demand of the contract? Can you do that? And if you can't do it, then I don't really want to work with you. Because see, I need you to uphold the standards of NAR. I need you to uphold the standards of all of this. So this is before, guys, this is not when we get the offer. I'm having the conversation before because I have a what? Standard. And I am a what? Professional. So now when I get ready to submit my offer over, I can now say to the lender, I'm going to submit the offer and I'm putting your name, information on the submission. What does that mean for my lender to do? I have a relationship. You know what my lender is going to do? My lender is going to call the listing realtor. Hey, good day, Rico. This is David. I'm over at ABC Lending, and I see that Angelique Hibbert from eXp Realty has sent an offer over. And I'm here just to confirm some of the areas of the contract. Yes, we'll be able to close within the 35 days. Yes, I'll be able to collect the loan, do the loan application within the 3 to 5 days, whatever you have on there. And yes, I will be thoroughly communicating with you regarding line 196 or whatever the lines are there. I ask my lenders to specifically say those things, okay?
During the consultation.
Right, but see, that way they're letting the listing realtor know that they're aware of what they need to do in this process, period. And it works. So remember that customer I told you about 9 years ago? And I showed her the 8 houses?
Yes.
And then she decided that we got down to 2, and then she said she was going to go home and sleep on it, and that's so forth. So that same person came back to me now. And I remember I told you I sold her house for $360,000. How much did I tell you she bought it for? 172. No, it was listed for 182.
She purchased it for
172, and now I'm selling it for 360. Okay, and now she wants to move someplace for almost 500. There are 17 offers on this property. No homes go on set. No homes get listed in this property. It had been almost 8 years before anybody listed. There were 17 offers. And I did exactly what I just told you guys I did. Exactly what you know what the listing realtor said? I don't even like that company. The listing realtor says they don't like the mortgage company. Guys, remember, these mortgage companies are franchises. So you might have worked one in Dateland and you didn't like the people in Dateland. You might have worked one in West Palm Beach, you didn't like the people in West Palm Beach. But the one I have in Broward, It's good. So also reputation is very important. They heard the name and he said, no, I don't like that company. I said, listen, John, I need you to understand that this is a franchise and I'm looking for the opportunity. My lender called and spoke to the person twice. Guess whose offer was accepted?
Oh, you moving into next week. Don't give him too much. Don't give him
Right.
too much.
Okay.
I
Well,
want, you know what? So the part I want you to, before we get to the offer, you're very strategic in the listing, in the consultation about determining which properties you're going to go see. Talk
okay.
about that.
Okay, well, let me go there. So in my buyer's consultation, what I do is that I know they want to buy a house because you wouldn't be here. So we don't need to talk about that. There's no need for me to talk about you buying an exact house, okay? What I normally like to do is get into the person. I need to understand, what is your urgency? What made you decide that you just want to buy a house now? What is that? Because I need to know if your urgency is going to match the market, because the market is what it is, okay? And this is where we need to have information. You need to understand your market trend every single day. How many people know what the interest rate is today? Anybody? Anybody know what the interest rate is? Every day you're supposed to know what the interest rate is. It's a good conversation. You should just get up. First thing, I'm a realtor. I need to know what the interest rate is. I got to know. It's conversation, period. So what I do is I bring a comfort level to the actual buyer. I have conversation. I want to know about your family. And the reason why I'm having these questions, I'm asking them, I'm making them, bringing comfort, and I'm forging the relationship. But at the same time, I'm getting the answers to my questions. What is your urgency? Why now? Why do you want to, I'm living in my mom's house and I know I'm not paying anything and I'm here with my 2 kids, but we got to go because we're under her roof. And, my kids doing this. She doesn't want them here. She doesn't want them there. Okay, wait a minute. So my question now is, so are we going to apply your current situation and add pressure to you buying a home? Is that going to be the pressure of you buying a home? Because if that's going to be the pressure of you buying a home, you might buy a home that you don't want. That pressure that you have in this space. So that's very, very important. And I've had that conversation just last week because that's exactly what the young lady told me. I said, so I'm going to have to ask you a little bit more because see, that pressure that you're carrying, it's really not going to work for the market, And if you get into a property, it might be one that you really are not happy with. So now we've relieved the pressure because now you and your kids are moving to your new house and you're very excited. But guess what? You don't like the house you picked because you were just trying to relieve that pressure. So I need to know, and I need to be able to help my customers understand the market and their current situation. And am I going to be able to strategically put those 2 things together to get you in a home? So now we relieve the pressure. We talk a little bit more. I want to live west of the I-75. Okay, west of the I-75. I already know where the prices are west of that I-75. Everybody knows that, right? They didn't say west of Flamingo, between Flamingo and I-75, west of the I-75. So I'm already in my mind because I know my areas. I already know taxes. I'm understanding the homes, their scheme homes, their developments. I get it. And you want to live here. So what I do in this sense is that I utilize the MLS. What I do is I sit back, I write. So tell me, Carol, okay, you want 3 bedrooms, okay? You want 2 bathrooms, okay? A nice yard, okay? You want a backyard, okay? And then they're going down and you let them live in this moment, guys. Do not take the moment away because I don't want anybody to tell me that I can't afford something. I don't like how that feels. I don't like the feeling. I don't need you to tell me I can't afford it. But what I'm going to do as a realtor is show you the information so you can understand that you can't afford it. But you're never going to be able to tell me that I told you you can't afford it. I don't want to hear that. It's negativity. I want you to dream. I want you to go, yes, and I want this, and you want all these things. And then you go at the end and you say, is there anything else? You know, if they happen to have a pool, I'll take a pool too, okay? And we write it down and said, this is good. Questions. And so I get on my MLS, and some of us who have been in the business for a while know our area. So you know that area is 3980 or 3970. Alicia Hayes is on here, so I know she knows her areas and so forth. And some of us go and we kind of map out the area, which is another tool and another way to look at properties. So I get on my big screen, and if I'm not on a screen, these days we're on Zoom. Some tips I'm going to give you in my class about being on a Zoom with a customer to make them feel comfortable is also something that's going to be really important and definitely effective. And so I put it up on the board and we map out the area that they want, right? And then when you map out the area, what happens? Woo, 62 properties pop up. All right, we mapped it out. Mind you, we have not put any information in this yet, okay? And then we're going to put in the obvious, the 3-bedroom, the 2-bathroom. Okay, good. It kind of dropped it down a little bit to, I don't know, let's say about 50. So now we're down to 50, and they're seeing that number change because I'm pointing it out. Oh, wow, we put in, look and check this out. Oh, we put in the bedrooms and the baths, we're down to 50, you know, that's pretty good. And so we keep looking, and then I put in, the next thing I put in is the pool, because they said they might want a pool. And then it dropped it down from 50 all the way down to like, ooh, okay, now we're down to like 11. Okay. All right. So this is what we have to look at. Mind you, I have not put the price in yet, and I've not put the financing in yet. Okay. And so I decided I'm going to put in the price, and I'm put in the price because, you know, we're in a market where sometimes we can negotiate a little bit. So I put the price in, and I put in the 300 and let's say I put the 350 in. I put the 350 in. So that 11 now has come down to what? Ooh, 6 houses. Then they say, you know what, Angelique, remove the pool. Remove the pool. Okay, I'm gonna remove the pool. And now we back up to 8 houses. Okay,
Oh, wow.
So we're making people feel good because you know, it's the numbers, it's happening. Then I put in the FHA financing. What you think happens to the numbers? Numbers go down to 2 properties or 1, right? And then I said, what? Wow, we found 2 properties today that we can look at. Let's take a look. And they're like, 2 properties. I said, well, you're only buying 1 house.
There you go. That's a line right there. You're only buying 1 house.
1 house. So well, why do we need to see all of these? Now, here are some tips. So remember now, you spoke to the lender. Now, I did not give you the questions to add in this particular series that we're having today. But one of the things I do, remember now, I asked the lender quite a few questions. How high they can go in taxes? How high can they go in HOA? I need to know this stuff. Because
all in the consultation, exactly.
All in the consultation. So now I know that she cannot buy anything that has taxes more than $3,500. She can't be in an HOA that's more than $300 a month. So I've got numbers to play with. I've got to start strategizing. So we've got 2 houses. So we're going to look at the houses, right? Now, what didn't we look at? I didn't streamline it because I need her to live a little bit. I don't want to make her feel like, oh my God, there's nothing. So I didn't streamline and put all that in initially. So we look at the house and she goes, you know, Angelique, I really like these 2. Let me see. Let me look. Okay, we look, and then I point out the taxes. Oh, the taxes are good on this one. The HOA is good on this one. But on this one, the taxes say $4,000, but the HOA says $220. Well, if the HOA is saying $220 and the lender told me I can go to $300, got a little wiggle room there. So let me try to figure out the taxes and the extra that I have that I'm saving on the HOA and figure it out. Oh, I figured it out. It looks like this one might work as well. Let's see. So now we're strategizing on the 2 properties. We're going to go see the 2 properties, but wait, I want to check one more thing. I want to look up the taxes for next year, because in my experience, guess what? I have sold 4 properties. Now, this is not my job to do. Guys, I always tell us to stay in our lane. We stay in our own lane because I'm not the property appraiser, okay? I'm not Mr. Garcia, okay? I'm not Marty Kerr, Broward. I'm the realtor, but I have information, okay? And value doesn't always mean money. Value doesn't always mean price. Value could just mean information. Okay.
Right.
So I look at the property and I say, well, Carol, let's put this in the property appraisers thing, you know? So I go in there, I learned how to use it, and I've learned how to use it in different states. I'm all over the place with this thing. And when I don't know how to do something, what do? Can anybody tell me what they do when they don't know how to do something? I really want somebody to ask that question. Anybody, because everybody think I'm brilliant. Can somebody raise their hand? Anybody? Tell me what you do.
Or drop it in the chat. What do you do when you have a, there you go.
How you ask a question? You call? Oh, exactly. I pick up the phone. I'll call. Believe it or not, the people at the 311, they like us guys at Miami-Dade County. I had a property change today. You call. I call Carol, Sheila, whoever working today. It's normally Sheila. Sheila, I'm a realtor and listen, I need some assistance. I learned how to use the estimator. Okay. And Sheila like, girl, let me tell you, because these people be coming in here all the time and they talking about their taxes and nobody told them that their taxes are going to be raised. So now I have valuable information. I'm only going to show Carol one property because we're going to put this property in the tax estimator. Okay. And it's going to tell us that, guess what? Most likely the taxes are going to be $300 a month more next year. You're like, what? So you're going to tell your customer, Carol, this house fits your description today for the financing that your lender is requiring today. But Mr. and Mrs. Johnson bought this house 15 years ago. He's an elderly, she's an elderly person, he's an elderly senior. So they got a senior citizens discount on the taxes.
Homestead exemption.
Homestead exemption. He was a vet. So the taxes are great for who? For who? For them. So the buyer is now writing on the taxes for who? For the previous buyer. What happens when Mr. Garcia from Miami-Dade County come out and do the property appraisers assessment? Right? Because remember now, Carol want to live in this community that got good schools. It's a nice neighborhood. It looks very safe. I pay for that. Now they bought the house for $200,000 back when? She's buying it for $350,000. There's $150,000 difference. Guess who wants to capitalize on that?
That's right.
The property appraiser. So I need Carol to know that your taxes are going to increase and your escrow is going to be short. And when your escrow is short, guess what happens in the middle of November? Everybody know what December is, right?
That's right.
December, Christmas time. So we're excited. Yes, it's Christmas time until you get that letter that says your escrow is short. And there's a balance due of $957.67. You're like, oh my goodness, I got to pay that. So you pay it. But guess what else they do? Well, now your escrow account, we paid your bill, but your escrow account is short. So now we need to collect 3 to 4 months ahead, right? And then raise the monthly amount that we're collecting your taxes just to pay your taxes for the next year. Guys, that could be another $3,000, $4,000 that Carol don't have, right?
It's happened. It happened to me before. It happened. I closed the file and the borrower called and it was, yeah, it happened. Borrower called back saying, you know, my taxes weren't collected. They were collected, but they were collected at the seller's rate.
Exactly.
And your taxes have increased. And then even at closing, and to your point, at closing, they signed a disclosure saying this is, you know, this year's taxes are based on last year's tax rates, et cetera, but they don't understand it to the extent that you've explained it. And like you said, this allows you to narrow down the properties that you're going to go look at during when you do go show the properties. Exactly. So I'm glad, like you said, that's ingenious, because to your point, and obviously I'll let you drive that home, you're saying you're not telling them what they can or cannot afford. The MLS told them once they put in all of their desires. So that was awesome. Well, bring us home. I want to make sure, let me drop in the chat before you wrap up the link to your upcoming workshop. And I don't want you to give away too much. And also, guys, so just to put this out there. So Angelique is hosting on Saturday, April 23rd, a half-day workshop where she will be discussing in full detail this process, including workbooks. I will be there to assist with this conversation. And for those of you, again, who there's so many, you guys know we have this conversation. I'm talking about thinking. And so you realize that that Angelique's buyer 9 years ago had such a great experience that she referred 9 other clients. Number one, she came back and she's selling, as well as just by virtue of the fact of the experience that she had with Angelique on the buy side. And we know they're in this market. Everyone's like, oh, I want to do listings. Absolutely. Listings create leverage, but buyers turn into sellers, right? And what does every seller need? Every seller needs a buyer. Every seller needs a buyer. And so if you when you're going on your listing appointment, you're saying, hey, and if you're farming, you say, I have a list of ready, willing, and able buyers to promote and present your property to them. I think that's what sellers want, right? And so we want to be well-rounded professionals, and more importantly, again, we want to put this system in place. And so oftentimes we want to cut our learning curve. We want to not, what we say, kick our foot against the wall or bump our heads with just running around and around. People say, oh, buyers are liars. Like, no, not necessarily. They're not being guided by a professional who has standards. So with that being said, I'm so excited about this talk. Go ahead, Angelique, take us out of here. You guys, make sure you click the link in the chat and get some information about April 23rd. Go ahead, Angelique.
I noticed that Raquel didn't even add that she is going to be one of the guest speakers talking about wealth mindset. I don't know. Listen, if you have not heard Raquel, I always thought she was just a quiet person. I didn't even know who she was when I heard her, and I was very good. December 16th. Right about 12 o'clock, she goes showtime, and I could not believe it. I was like, who is that? It was so powerful. I was so engaged. So she will definitely be one of the guest speakers, and we're going to have a branding speaker come in. It's just going to be just a really, really good, and a gourmet lunch, because I am a what? Professional. With standards. Exactly. So at the end of the day, as far as the customer goes, I wanted to tell you, I've got 4 listings because the people could not afford the taxes because they did not have the valuable information. Because they did not have the information. So at the end of the day, guess what? We took her to go see one property, and that property worked for her. Now, I normally, and I haven't, and I think, most of you know my sister Claudiane can confirm this. I don't really show more than 4 properties. I have not shown more than 4 properties to anybody in the last 6 or 7 years. It just doesn't make any sense, because if you're showing, so I had a young lady that last week, I believe Raquel, or the week before, you and I were together sitting at a table with some other young ladies. And she said she'd been working with a buyer for 9 months. Mm-hmm. And I'm not the one to ask anybody how much commission they made. And I said, I'm not sure what commission you made, but I want you to divide your time that you spend with that buyer into your commission check. And I guarantee you, a greeter at Walmart is making more money than that. We have got to start using our time more valuably in a different kind of way. We have to start getting the information of value to give to our customers. I have a sphere of influence. 3 weeks ago, I sat at home and I did $2.2 million in sales. Okay, wait, let me not push it. 1.87, I added another one. 1.87, I did not leave my house because these people were a spare. I've never, ever sold to them. They never bought anything. They never sold anything. They just call me for information on certain things, and they like the quality of information I give. So guess what they do for me? They're advocates for me. They referred me, these people. I got a duplex listed. She was referred to me. Okay, I have a house listed. It was referred to me, and guess what? It was $415,000, and I had the buyer at 7%. I did not leave my house. It was referred to me, and I had a buyer for it. Okay, so that's 415 times 2 is 830,000 plus the $800,000 listing that I got. And then I got another listing from a referral from church. I passed out pens in church. Somebody called the number on the pen and said, hey, I got a pen from Angelique, call her. And it gave the person my pen. I just got an email before jumping on the Zoom that we are closing on the 18th. We are clear and it's scheduled. So guys, valuable information is key. That's what I wanted to tell you so much. And we really just have to start getting into our buyers and understanding where their mindset is before we start taking people out on the road. You don't just get to go out on the road just like that. That's the fun part. We've got to go through the steps, the standards before we go out on the road. So when we go out on the road, we are absolutely ready to go. That means I'm not going to get that young lady again that says she can't make a decision. I don't get that anymore. I just don't, because I've followed up and I've talked to my customers and they understand the professional relationship we have been. I'm going to give you one last thing, and I see the time is running in case there are any questions. But my cousin, I was able to utilize my time when I went to Orlando for 2 separate organizations. And I was able to get 2 properties under contract. I utilized my time when I was in Orlando. And I went and I showed, and this was my cousin. Now, my cousin is like, it's my cousin. Now, I asked someone the other day, I said, if you know the person, what do you think? Oh, no, when you know the person, you don't have to do all that. My cousin was so impressed that I explained to her that you right now are not my family member. You right now are my customer, and you have chosen me to be your realtor. Signing the buyer's agreements, okay? That goes for everybody, okay? This is not, oh, I like you and I think you might. No, I have a what? A standard. And so it's signed, it explained, everything is done. And she called me, she said, Angelique, I gotta tell you, I always knew you were a realtor, but you real professional, like you really know what you're doing, And here she is, she's not even just about 30 years old. She's saved over $40-something thousand. And I was able to get her into a new build, explain to her the advantages of something being built now or something on a resale. And she was just so impressed that guess what she did? She referred me to somebody else who's getting a what? Another rebuild. And guess what? Now I went there and I met with the agent for the community. Guess what the agent, she goes, nobody ever comes in here like this. Nobody comes like you follow up. Guess what she did? She referred me her sister who's here in Miami.
Wow. Working with buyers, all from working with buyers.
Come on,
professionally.
When another realtor or someone in your industry can actually say to you, wow, I'm impressed. You are holding a standard. Because to me, that's one of the biggest compliments you can get from a peer that's in your career. I mean, by far, in your industry. For another peer to tell you that, I was blown away. It made me feel so good, by far. I know as your referral is the best compliment. Yes, it is the best compliment. But to have somebody who's on the same playing field and come to me and say, wow, great job. For me, that's a win all day. I would tell you it's better than the paycheck, but
second, almost. Well, that's what I said.
Much.
I can tell you, like I told you, that's what I had to say. You did a great job. You always do a great job. And so, like I said, I definitely want to make sure that, to be sure to share this information. If you guys enjoyed that, drop some fire in the chat. Again, that was just a very small snippet of an effective buyer's consultation. Again, I encourage you, I implore you. One of the things I always say this, one of the things that realtors tend to do is they stop learning. And so I am a avid learner. If you ask me how I've grown multiple businesses, it's because I learn. right? I took the time to learn. I took the time to learn not just how to deliver a service, but to how to deliver that service professionally and with standards. If you know that the working with buyers, because again, buyers become sellers and sellers want buyers. Again, I welcome you. If you know that this is something that you need to hone in your skills a little bit better, join us next week. Angelique will be discussing making winning offers. So it's one thing to figure out which property you like. It's another thing to get your offer accepted. Join us next week. I know I always tell you, bring a friend. And more importantly, be sure to click the link in the chat. Check your calendars. If you're not doing anything, we hope to see you there. If you are doing something, I think you need to rearrange your schedule. We are adamant. We are adamant about getting our colleagues to the closing table. That's what it's all about. And again, understand, everyone wants to run after the seller, but the seller needs a buyer. The seller needs a buyer. So who's going to bring the buyer to these sellers? Go ahead, Angelique.
I will tell you this one thing. I just told you there are about 56,000 realtors. Do you realize that more than 90% of the realtors have buyers? More than 90% of the realtors have buyers. So it is really, let me tell you, I'm not doing this class for the money. I have just gotten to the point when I am just so disappointed and in some cases disgusted on how people are treating people out there because they just don't have the information. I really want people to grow. I want you to understand what you need to do. There is enough for all of us on all levels to grow. I'm telling you. So some things I've seen, and it's just like I had somebody the other day to tell me that they didn't even know that the seller could pick their own title company. So you've been subjecting your sellers to whatever buyer title company. For what? What if their fee is too high? Like, I can't understand why are we missing this information. And so this is really why I'm having this. Let me tell you guys, if one person show up to my class, they are going to be the brightest.
Well, you already have more people than that registered, so
yeah.
so I'm just telling you, that's not the case.
I'm just telling you, they're going to be the brightest person because it's the details that we miss each and every time. And the details are right in your face. Trust me. When I start talking about lead generation, you are going to just lose your mind. You're going to think you need a computer, and you absolutely Thank you, guys.
All right, guys. Well, there you have it. There you have it. The Angelique Hibbert, the professional, the standard setter. We hope that you guys found value in this conversation. Hope that you it wasn't too much while you were having lunch. And again, as we always say every week, we'll see you next week. Bring a friend, bring your questions. And again, if we don't see you before then, we'll see you at the closing table. All right. Bye.
All right. This was awesome. You guys were fantastic. I'm going to be a participant over here in the chat next time.